Let's hook together today the pattern of the green fairy pine blanket for long needles, fabric with combination of medium and long needles and locking needles. First, let's take a look at the method of holding the thread. After picking up our braided thread, aim the palm of your left hand at our big face braided thread, the seam between the little finger and the ring finger. Pass through and go around from back to front, the seam between the middle and index fingers. Bypass the index finger from back to front. Homeopathically pass it into the thumb and index finger and pinch it. Then take the crochet. The hook of the crochet is aimed at our big face. Let's first hook the 29-pin lock needle. Crochet thread from back to front. Pull out from behind the braided thread. Form a coil and crochet. Use your thumb and middle finger to pinch where the coils are crossed. Crochet. Felt line. Hook the coil on the crochet. We hook the first lock pin, then crochet with thread. Hook out the coil on the crochet. Just hook the second lock pin. Use the same method to hook 27 more lock pins, a total of 29 hooks and lock needles. "29 lock pin hooks are ready. Then we will hook the upright needle of the 3-pin lock needle. 3-pin lock needle stands up after the needle is hooked. We hook the first line. The first line is mainly composed of the pattern composition of long needle and lock needle crochet. When hooking the first line, we need to provoke a thread on the outside of the lock needle starts the needle. First hook a long needle. Crochet winding at the 27th lock needle into the needle. Pick up a thread on the lock pin, then crochet with thread. There are 3 coils on the hook out crochet, then crochet the first 2 coils with line. Crochet belt line hook out after 2 coils. We hook the first long needle, so let's hook one up. Lock needle then. Crochet with thread. There are 2 coils on the crochet. Hook the first long needle, the same lock needle mesh position into the needle. Crochet with thread hook out. Crochet with line hook out the first 2 coils on the crochet. Crochet with line hook out the back 2 coils on the crochet. Where hooked, the first long needle and a lock needle composition pattern. Then continue to hook a pattern of 2 long needles and a lock needle. Crochet with thread, and then forward the 3rd locking needle. Enter the needle and pick up a thread above the locking needle. Crochet with thread hooked out. There are 3 coils on the crochet, and then crochet with thread to hook out the first 2 coils on the crochet. Crochet with line hook the last 2 coils on the crochet. We hook the first long needle, then hook a lock pin. Then in the same lock needle mesh position, hook another long needle. Crochet with thread on the same lock needle position into the needle. Crochet with thread. Hook out. Crochet with line hook out the first 2 coils on the crochet. Crochet with line hook the last 2 coils on the crochet. So we did the second set. Then we are in the subsequent lock needle mesh. Use the same method. Every 2 lock pins, crochet a pattern of long and lock needles. Just continue to crochet 7 sets of patterns. After 9 sets of patterns are ticked, we are in the first lock needle mesh. Hook a long needle, crochet needle with thread. Crochet with thread. Tick, hook with line hook the first 2 coils on the crochet. Crochet with line hook the last 2 coils on the crochet. So we put the long needle and the lock needle in the first row. The pattern of composition is hooked. The knitting piece hooked out of this pattern is very good, more hollowed out. Crevice. We will no longer hook seamless standing needles. Just use the lock needle to stand up the needle directly. Flip our fabric from right to left. Then we crochet on the reverse side of the weave. Second line. The second row is mainly completed by medium and long needles and locking needles. First, we hook a 2-pin lock pin upright needle. At the top, braid needles, a marked buckle on the road. Then let's hook a medium and long needle. Crochet winding. Insert a needle into a hole made of 2 long needles. Tick. At this time, there are a total of 3 cawls on the crochet. Then crochet with thread. Hook out the 3 cawls on the crochet at one time. So we hooked a medium length needle, and then we hook a lock pin. Then crochet and wind. Insert the needle into the next hole where the 2 long needles are adjacent. Tick. The crochet winding hooks the quill on the crochet at one time. We hooked a medium and long needle. Then the crochet thread is wound into the needle in the same position. Let's hook another medium and long needle. So we hooked medium and long needles, and then we hook a lock pin. Crochet winding. In the next hole made of 2 long needles, we reinsert the needle, hooked medium and long needles. A crochet thread wound into the needle at the same position. Crochet winding hook out. Crochet winding hook out, and we did to medium length needles. Crochet winding hook a left needle. The second line, when we hook the medium and long needle, the position of the needle is adjacent to the 2. A large space in the middle of a long needle is inserted into the needle. Then crochet and wind. Insert needle and hook out. Hook a medium and long needle. Then the crochet is wound into the needle at the same position and hooked out. Hook another medium and long needle. Then hook a lock pin. Then use the same method. Continue to crochet 1 to 3 for 5. 6 sets of medium and long needle patterns are enough. Crochet winding into needle hook out. A medium and long needle. Crochet winding and needle hooking out. 2 medium and long needles. Then hook a lock, needle crochet winding into needle, hook a medium and long needle, crochet winding needle, hook another medium and long needle, hook a lock pin. When hooking the last trick, you need to pay attention to the position of the needle insertion. Crochet winding, hook a medium and long needle in the last hole first. Then crochet and wind the 3rd stitch of the restart needle, locking pin in. Hook the last medium and long needle. So we've got the 2nd row hooked. Then we flip the branching from right to left. Then on the 3rd line, we continue to crochet the pattern composed of the 1st length needle and the lock needle. Then the 4th line, repeat crochet the pattern composed of medium and long needles in line 2. To act group, repeat crochet 5 sets, last line 13. Then hook a pattern composed of a long needle and a lock needle. We're done with the whole branch. Now we're going to do row 3. The 3rd line and the 1st line are the same. It's all made up of long needles and lock needles. Just crochet a total of 9 sets of patterns. First hook the upright needle of the 3-pin lock needle. The 3rd stitch we put on the marking buckle. And then we do the first set of patterns. Crochet with thread in the 2nd line. The position of this hole formed by the left needle enters the needle. Crochet with line hook out. Pick out the first 2 coils, hook out the last 2 coils, then hook another lock pin. Then the hook line is inserted into the needle at the same position. Hook the hook with the line hook the first 2 coils. The hook needle belt line hooks out the last 2 coils. The first trick is ticked. And then we do 8 sets of the same pattern. It's all in the second row of lock pins. The position of this hole formed by the needle. Just tick the 8 sets of patterns in the third line. We have hooked the 9 sets of patterns in the third line. Then we insert the needle at the position of the marked buckle. Hook a long needle. The third line is good enough. Flip the fabric from right to left. Then we take the fourth line, hook in the fourth row. The weaving method is the same as the second row. The pattern composed of the hook medium and long needle and the lock needle. A total of 8 sets of hooks. First hook the upright pins of the 2 lock pins. Draw a marking clasp on the second lock pin. Then crochet and wind. Insert the needle between the first long needle and the long needle. Tick. Crochet with thread. Remove all the coils on the crochet. Hook the first medium and long needle, then tick 1. Lock the needle, and then hook to medium and long needles. Insert the needle between 2 long needles. Tick 1, 2 followed by a lock pin, then continue to tick in the same way. 7 sets of medium and long needles and lock needles. That's it. After the 8 sets of patterns are hooked, crochet with thread, we insert a needle between 2 long needles. Hook a medium and long needle. Then crochet with thread, exit. Mark the position of the buckle into the needle. Hook the last medium and long needle. We take the fourth line,